What is going on, everyone? This is episode 158 of Wassup Flobo. Just hanging and chatting. That's what we do on this show. No gimmicks, no fuss, no muss, no structure, no formats. And I used to say no guests, but 2 times I've been caught lying, which is ironically my highest rated episodes. Maybe I should have more guests. Just want to say thank you for checking out this episode and all the other episodes. And if you're a member of the Boisterous crew, that's at Patreon/Flobo Boys. Bonus contents unlocked there all the time. My gig blog is there. You can see some exclusive shows like Flopito's Book Club, where I actually get to read books. If you guys know what a challenge that is for someone like myself, then you know how cool that is. Over at Patreon, patreon.com/Flobo Boys. We call it the Boisterous crew. But if you don't like puns, which I understand, you don't have to do it yourself. And well, I was sitting there chilling, thinking about what this episode was going to be this week because I didn't want to talk about St. Patty's Day because it actually is St. Patty's Day. Because last week I totally did what I said I would want to do and wore the green shirt a week early. So check out last week's episode if you want me to celebrate in advance because I'm a forward thinker. I realized though, this week on the digital platforms, I posted a couple of things. I posted basically a visual representation of all the shows on the New Amsterdam Network, all the different podcasts I'm a part of, and people slide in the DMs and go, "Oh man, you're killing it!" And I always talk about that before in other episodes. Some days I do feel like I am killing the proverbial it, and other days I'm like, "Really? Am I killing it though?" But I want to talk about something else because I'm not trying to make this a pity party because, frankly, it's the life I chose and I put it on myself. I didn't realize, though, in the pursuit of being up on game to be well informed through my guests on my show or to be in tune in certain demographics, whether it's the wrestling fan demographic or Star Trek demographic, I feel that other aspects of pop culture are just passing me by. Like memes are almost impossible to keep up with. I never know what's a dope song as opposed to a dope TikTok song as opposed to a hit song you'll hear on the radio because that's changing. We don't really go to clubs since the pandemic, so it's hard to see what's playing hot with crowds when there are no crowds. And movie releases tend to come thick and fast, and it's just getting way, way too hard to keep up with what's hot in the zeitgeist because, frankly, there's more than one zeitgeist. There was a time where if something was interesting, something was cool, you would hear about it on the Today Show or what they call the water cooler. But we're all working from home and nobody watches the Today Show anymore. I go on Twitter, but even Twitter can be sexualized with their algorithm. There's like black Twitter and there's left-handed Twitter. There's wrestling Twitter. There's Mets Twitter. And those are the Twitters I follow. Basically, for those who aren't on the platform, the sub cultures, the sub communities within Twitter tend to. I am a big fan of Wisin and Yandel, but when Bad Bunny went to WWE, the wrestling organization, and showed up and performed, and is now in a story, there was a whole big deal. Who's this guy? From like many of my wrestling brethren, and I go, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that disconnect. So like I was up on culture there too, but there are movies I have not seen that have been big. Like a couple weeks ago, the release of Coming to America, even though I've seen the first one a bunch of times, especially because I grew up in New York and Channel 11, WPIX, New York's movie station, who play that movie on repeat. Haven't seen the second one. And I get the side eye, like, I can't believe you haven't seen the second Coming to America. I'm like, well, how do I find the time? I'm doing other shows, man. And I know a part of it's with natural age. I feel like people of my age and older, by default, kind of slip away from what's cool. As I'm looking at 40 and 50 and 60 and sometimes 30, where I tell people that I get that advertisers aren't really going to me anymore. They're going to where the kids are. They're going to the big teenagers because they can influence younger kids what's cool, and they are the next biggest demographic for purchasing power. And there's just no way to see what it is. There is no weekly roundup anyway. And even if there was, it's been so segmentalized, you really are playing to smaller groups. There isn't the A-list movie star days are done. I feel like Will Smith is like the last one I could think of, maybe Tom Cruise, but everything else, it tends to be the property itself. Like it isn't Vin Diesel, it's the Fast and Furious franchise. It isn't Jeff Goldblum. it's Jurassic Park, the franchise. And that's interesting about what we think is famous. Music is going that way too. I mean, beyond and that I'm up on game on some things and I'm totally woefully falling behind in the whole pop culture thing. And to summarize, it could be age, it could be beauty. I am not sure. It could be just personal preferences. No idea. But that does it for me on this episode of Wassup Flobo. You know the deal. Make sure you support the show wherever you can. Like, share, tell a friend about it. And if you have a couple dollars in that tip jar, hit brother up at buymeacoffee.com/FloboBoys. Support independent content creation. That's what I'm doing right now. I'll be back next week for a brand new episode where I get to complain about life and get off my digital lawn because I'm an old man. That does it for me.